talking today with various members of the district's administration on changes that are happening for the 2017-18 school year. Obviously, a lot of things happening in the district, so we want to make sure families are well informed. I'm here today with Superintendent Polito to talk about changes in transportation and consolidation of the schools. Mr. Polito, thanks for being here. I want to talk about transportation this year. So I know there's been some changes. We're working with the MTA as we always have, but I understand more students will be bused. Can you just talk about which students are going to be bused this year?
Well, with the reconfiguration and especially the consolidation up at the high school, we felt it was very important to try to offer transportation to our high school students. That's something that the district has never done in the past. So we started talking with the MTA early on how we might be able to accomplish that. And one of the things that they proposed is going with a staggered start. So we would start high school and middle school students at about the same time they're starting now, and then the elementary students about an hour later. And that's just so that they can better utilize their resources, their drivers, their buses to accommodate the transportation. So that's really the path we went down. Right now, for this upcoming school year, we're looking to transport our high school students that live outside a 2-mile boundary and our elementary that live outside 1.5 miles. And we were hoping to get that down to even a smaller walking distance, but with all the changes and the new transportation at the high school, we just could not accommodate that this year, but that is a big priority moving forward.
So one thing I want to just clarify, so working with EMTA to have students on city buses, that is not new this year, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
We've been transporting the students on EMTA buses for a while?
Absolutely, that's how we transport all of our regular ed students. Right now, the only students that were transported on the yellow bus were our charter school students and our special ed students, and we are moving all our charter schools to EMTA transportation this year as well. So we're going to have consistency throughout the district as far as how we transport.
But special ed will still be transported on the yellow buses as they have been?
Yes.
Okay. So EMTA buses stay the same, but I heard you say new this year high school students will be transported, and they have not been transported in the past?
That's right.
Okay. So all high school students, or you said only those that live a certain distance from the school?
Only those that live outside 1.5 mile radius. And EMTA actually does have some bus runs right now that go to our high schools, and a lot of students, I understand, did pay for bus passes. So here, really the big change here is anybody that lives 2 miles away from Erie High School or Collegiate will get a free bus pass.
Okay, how do families go about getting those bus passes?
So we're working right now to change our website so that we have a link to go give directions on how to do that. Another piece of that too, we're working with EMTA to develop an interactive link so that parents and students can go on that website, put in their address and put in the address of the school they're going to, and it'll map out the routes that they'll be taking.
So I just want to note for those at home, we'll have all that information on the district website, that eriesd.org. We did create a back to school portal this year, eriesd.org/back to school. When those routes and bus pass information, when all of that is available, they will be posted there and also on our social media accounts. So Mr. Polito, I just want to talk about that change with the transportation. You mentioned the need to transport the high school students, required the staggered start, and again, staggered start being high school and middle school starting at one time, elementary later. Can you talk that through? So when will high school and middle school start, and when will elementary start?
So right now the schedule is high school starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, high school and middle school, and being dismissed at 2:55, and then elementary actually starts at 9:20 and is dismissed at 3:40.
Okay, so of course that could present a challenge for parents of elementary students who need to go to work. Any thought within the district about how to deal with that?
That's a concern we heard early on, and so we are in the process of developing some before school programming. We are going to have the buildings open at 7:40, so parents can elect to drop their students off. And this is not daycare. This is some additional programming that we're going to be offering any students that may want to take advantage of that.
Great. And I want to, again, let everyone at home know we're preparing a fairly comprehensive letter to go home to families that will be going home, I would say, by the first or second week of August. All of that information will be in there so families know what's happening, when school is starting, and then what their options are for students. So Mr. Polito, anything else that families need to know about transportation or the change in the start and end times for the school this year?
So one question we're getting asked a lot is why did we start the high school and middle school kids first instead of swapping it and starting the elementary school kids? And one of the big issues was sports and extracurricular. All the other high schools in the county actually run a similar schedule to what we're going to next year. So if we were to swap it, we would have trouble with after-school events and scheduling those type of functions.
Okay.
Another issue is safety, and with the reconfiguration next year and consolidating down to 2 high schools, we wanted to make sure that the EMTA buses were at Collegiate and Erie High right at dismissal, and the only way to ensure that was to have those students picked up and dropped off first.
Okay. And then I imagine, too, with elementary students, you'll want them to be walking during daylight hours?
That's right, and when we get into those midwinter months when the day is shorter, one of the issues is in the morning is that we don't have a lot of daylight until 8 o'clock. So we wanted to make sure that those students were walking to school in daylight hours.
The younger ones.
The younger
of
ones,
course.
yes.
Okay. And I guess even with the dismissal time at 3:40, still daylight hours, even in the heart of the winter here.
That's right. It usually doesn't get totally dark until about 5 o'clock.
Okay. So certainly something the district considered, thought through, knew they needed to make the change, and then decided this was the best thing all around.
That's right.
Okay. So I want to really thank you for being here today. I know it's been a very busy summer. I want to remind families to please look for updated information as things change on the district's website and again on our Facebook page. We will have those bus schedules also posted as soon as we can, working with EMTA. So thank you so much for watching.